Hey guys, it is Wingy here and welcome to my review of Zack Snyder's Justice League, or the Snyder Cut, whatever it's called. Either way, the latest version of Justice League that has come out. Now the thing is, I've got to say, going back to the original version of Justice League that came out in, 2017? Where Zack Snyder did part of it and then he left for personal reasons, and then of course Joss Whedon came in and finished the film. I gotta say, when I first watched that, I didn't actually think it was that bad. I thought, nah, this is okay. But the thing is, this is the Justice League. Like, it shouldn't just be okay. The Justice League, for me at least, having grown up with the cartoon and the comics, has always been a part of my life, and to see them together on the big screen should be a momentous occasion. Similarly with the Avengers as well. And irrespective of what you think of DC movies or, you know, Zack Snyder's films, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, any of them, regardless of what you think, Justice League should be a big deal, and it should be, at the very least, a good film. So, is this version a good film? Honestly, yes. Going into this, I didn't really know what to expect because I didn't know how much was new footage, how much influence Joss Whedon actually had on the original version. Also, you hear the runtime of like, what, 4 hours, just over, you think, ooh, bit long. But the thing is, those 4 hours, they do pretty much just fly by. And the thing is, this movie is not perfect. It does have its flaws. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my god, it was like terrible before, now it's like the best comic book movie ever. No, it isn't. However, if you enjoyed Man of Steel and you enjoyed Batman v Superman, then you are probably going to like this. One thing that I really liked about this film right from the get-go was that Steppenwolf as a character, as a villain, really feels like a threat this time around. He looks better as well. He looks a lot bigger and beefier. He's got some really cool action set pieces as well that he didn't really have in the previous film. In this, he actually feels quite sympathetic as well, whereas in the other one, he just felt pathetic. So it was nice to see that this movie has a strong villain, or at least a stronger villain than the original cut. Another thing that I really liked about this version of Justice League was that it felt like the Justice League. And that sounds stupid because the last one did have all the different characters in it, bar one, who I will get into, spoilers. The last one kind of felt like Batman and Wonder Woman's movie, then Superman turns up for a bit towards the end, and there's the other three who come up with like quips and stuff, but they don't really offer all that much to the overarching plot of the film. With this, you get a hell of a lot more backstory and character moments and action set pieces for Cyborg especially, but also the Flash, who has an awesome sequence in this film, and Aquaman has a lot more to do and feels a lot more involved as well. I really like that this film genuinely feels like it is an ensemble cast, similar to the Avengers when that came out in 2012. That didn't just feel like an Iron Man and Captain America movie with the other four. Same with this now feels like it is about all of them, and in fact, if any character has taken a back seat in this film compared to the original version, it's probably Batman. But Batman still has some awesome stuff to do in this film. Even characters like Alfred as well, he feels like he's got a lot more to do with this film. He feels a bit more important to the plot, whereas before he was just a glorified cameo. But I think for me, Cyborg is probably the character that surprised me the most. I've always been aware of Cyborg, like I used to watch Teen Titans as a kid, and I read the New 52 Justice League as well. But in the previous movie, I was just like, you really don't need to be here. You're not offering anything in the slightest. Whereas now I'm like, he's probably the heart and soul of the film. Flash as well, like, he properly annoyed me in the first version. I think Ezra Miller's style of the way that he delivers lines with that sort of MCU Joss Whedon humor, I don't think it works. He just comes across as irritating, annoying, and grating. And I have to say, yes, the Flash is probably the comic relief character in this film, but I'm not irritated by him this time round. It feels like this style for Ezra Miller works a lot better than it did previously. Now he just feels like this sort of awkward, goofy kid, whereas before it was like, wow, I want to fucking strangle you. Aquaman, like, he still doesn't feel like he has a moment in this film comparatively with Cyborg and Flash, but he does feel like more of a part of it. So even though I wouldn't say that my opinion has properly changed on Aquaman now, because I always liked him, he still has more to do. I think even though it is 4 hours long, like I said, it doesn't feel like it, but there are a few instances throughout the film where I'm like, okay, I could probably shave half an hour off of this film. And the reason why I could, one, there's a really awkward moment where Aquaman is going into the sea and Bruce Wayne is there, and there's like a group of girls singing, but they keep singing. It's like, what, it feels like 5-10 minutes that they're just there singing. It probably isn't, but I probably would have cut that out. it added nothing to the film. And the thing is, the main reason why I think that this movie is 4 hours is because half of it is in slow fucking motion. Now, don't get me wrong, there are going to be moments in a film like this, especially with a character like the Flash, that yes, you can use slow motion. It makes sense, it works. Like, I'm not going to say, why the fuck do they even bother with the slow motion? But the problem is, there's too much slow motion in moments where it's like, you don't even need to do that there. Like, just let the action sequence play out the way that it needs to. There's too many moments where a character will jump over someone and you get a slow-mo reaction shot from the character that's being jumped over. Or there's so many action pieces that don't include the Flash where slow-mo is used, and I'm like, really? It is quite distracting at a point, because you do feel like, oh, here we go again. Like, it got to a point where me and my girlfriend, when we were watching it, were just like, oh, there's another one, and we were counting how many times that there was slow-mo in this film. Like I say, it works sometimes, it doesn't always work, and sometimes it is overly done. But then again, the stuff with the Flash, keep that, works really well. Some of it in particular in the battle towards the end is fucking incredible. And as someone who is a fan of a particular Flash story that I have reviewed on this channel before, there was a moment that it's not, in terms of the context, it's not the same, but it really reminded me of it, and I really appreciated it. There was quite actually a few moments in this that, you know, as someone who has grown up with the comics and the cartoons and stuff, I recognised some of the moments and I liked some of the references, and there was a few times in this film where my jaw dropped because I was like, oh my god, the reference in that. In fact, and this is where I'm going to say spoiler, because I mean, listen, it's been out for like a week or so now, or 2 weeks even, so I'm hoping you will have seen it at this point, but if you haven't, just bear in mind what I'm going to say now is a spoiler, because I don't want to ruin this, because when I first saw it, my jaw dropped. The fact that Martian Manhunter is in this film, to me, is fucking awesome, because I remember seeing all the promo material for the Justice League, right, when it first came out, and it was saying stuff like Unite the Seven, and I'm like, but you don't have seven. You've got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg. That's 6. There's a reference to Green Lantern a couple of times in this and the original Joss Whedon version. I think a lot of us naturally would have assumed that the next member of the Justice League to be introduced would have been Green Lantern, whether it be Hal Jordan or John Stewart. I imagine it would have been one of those two. We get Martian Manhunter. That is one that I never expected to turn up. And the funny thing is, it's the general that's been there since fucking Man of Steel. When you think about it, it's so fucking obvious, because he does look like the comic book version, and obviously we've had versions of Martian Manhunter in Supergirl as well. But the fact that they finally added him and you get to see him, that's amazing to me. It was quite funny because my girlfriend didn't know who that was, and I said he is a well-known DC character, but obviously he's not well-known enough. However, for a nerd like me, fucking hell, that was sick. And he's not in this a lot, don't get me wrong. He's just got one sort of brief appearance where it's the reveal of, oh my god, it's Martian Manhunter, and then there's a scene towards the very end where he meets Bruce Wayne. But either way, I'm so fucking glad that they did that. I feel like the action in this is a lot better as well. Like, there's certain, apart from the slow-mo like I mentioned, but I feel like the action in this feels like proper action. It feels like the humor's been massively toned down as well, which I think there was moments in the Joss Whedon version where there was action going on and then there'd be an awkward joke and it'd just be like, right, I'm out the action. And the thing is, it works for Marvel. We're used to it at this point. The way that this universe works with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, it doesn't quite work. And yes, there is humor here. There is that sort of like quippy stuff, typically from the Flash, like I said, but I feel like the humor is more subdued but fits better, and that bolsters the action set pieces. However, the action is also fucking good with or without humor. Like, there is some really cool moments. I think the CGI is quite bad, I must say. Not all the time, but there is certain stuff where it's like, wow, this actually looks like PlayStation graphics. And the thing is, maybe that's just the quality of how we were watching it, I don't know, but Cyborg in particular, whilst I love his character in this, a lot of the times he does look like a PlayStation cutscene. I'm pretty sure they reused the same shot of Cyborg twice as well, where he's flying up and the visor comes down on his mask. I'm sure it's the exact same. I could be wrong though. So yeah, like even stuff like Steppenwolf, he does look better. He absolutely does. Darkseid looks fucking sick, but I don't think that they look as good as Thanos, for example. Thanos, yes, you can tell he's CG because obviously big purple dudes don't exist, but he does look somewhat real compared to everything else going on around him, whereas these Parademons and Darkseid and Steppenwolf, they do look like CG characters, which is a shame. It almost looks like this movie, if it came out in 2010, oh my god, it'd be fucking incredible. 11 years later, don't know. But I'm not trying to shit on this movie, but but I have to address that there are some negatives about it. I think plot-wise, story-wise, this is a whole lot better. The characters are a lot better. The action, the humor, just everything about it is better. I really love the cameos from Martian Manhunter. I really like the sequence at the end with the Joker. And I don't know actually what's going to happen with this Snyder universe now, or this DC universe. And I think it's really frustrating because I want to see more of it. I like the characters. I love the cast. I want to see what they get up to. Like, it feels like it's finally hitting its potential, but Warner Brothers just pulled the plug a little bit too soon and were like, yeah, fuck it, let's move on and let's have Robert Pattinson's Batman. Like, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know if it's because Ben Affleck was like, nah, I'm fucking done, or any of that stuff, but Warner Brothers clearly aren't doing DC justice, because there's arguments for days about which is better, Marvel or DC, but let's have it right. They're on the same fucking pedestal. They absolutely are. Like, as iconic as some of the Marvel characters are, DC characters are just as, if not more, iconic. And to see the beginnings of a universe starting to find its feet just ripped away is a massive shame. I think it just goes to show that they need to stop interfering. Now, with the situation with Justice League and Zack Synder, you understand why he had to step away, but the studio, I feel like they could have held back and gone, okay, well, you just take the time that you need and come back when you're ready, because look what happened. They had to redo this film anyway, so it didn't exactly save the money in the long term. You look at Batman vs Superman, that was heavily edited for the theatrical release, and oh look, we've now got an Ultimate Edition, which is actually better than the original. So someone at Warner Brothers, whoever it is, I don't know, have a fucking word, because these characters deserve better. I really feel like this universe is starting to show the potential that it had right from the beginning. Is it worth a watch? Absolutely. If you enjoyed the previous installments, go and check this out. And hey, even if you didn't, even if you were a bit like, meh, this is a very good comic book movie. It's not like one of the best, I wouldn't say. I don't really know how I'd rank it. I think it's probably, out of the Zack Synder ones, it's probably the strongest thus far. It isn't perfect, but for what it is, I really enjoy it, and I'm so glad that it actually got made. Where it goes from here now though, who's to say? In the comments below though, guys, let me know what you think. Have you seen the Zack Synder version of Justice League? What do you think? Hate it? Love it? Whatever it is, let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe for more. Social media and Patreon links will be in the description as always. So if you'd follow me on any of those things, I'd absolutely love you forever. But until next time, guys, you take care of yourselves. Goodbye.